Hey, good morning, everybody, or afternoon. This is Mr. Flanagan, and today I'm going to be taking you through a lesson in form and space. We're going to start with form. So to create a form, we're going to start with a shape, a circle, somewhat of a circle, a cone, and to draw a cone, we're going to draw an ellipse, which is basically an oval. You're going to draw a line coming up and a line meeting that other line to create our cone. It's important that you have an eraser so we can make that ellipse, the top of that ellipse, a little lighter so we can kind of see through it, but not really. So these aren't forms just yet, they're still shapes. When we begin to add value, which is dark values, slightly lighter values, going into even lighter values, and finally our lightest value, which is white. So from dark to medium to lighter, lighter, down to white. So I'm showing a full range of value here. I could probably get even a little bit more variation in value, but the key to creating form is to add value to our shapes, and then we create that illusion of form. Okay, so I'm starting with my dark values on one side, following the contour of the shape, going from my darkest darks to my lightest lights. Now take a quick guess where you think the light is coming from on this form. You guessed it, it's this side. So the light is shining in on that left side and casting a shadow on the far side over here. Okay. Same thing. If our light is coming in from this right side, along this side, we're going to have our darkest midtones, and we are going to slowly change in value as we make our way to the other side of the form. I say form, really this is a shape, but we're creating the illusion of form by adding value. So if you have a shape and you add value, you create form. And what is value? That's value. Value right here. Okay? Full range. Darkest darks, which is our shadows, to our lightest lights, which is our highlights. So highlights, shadows. When you show that full range, everything in between, you really create that illusion. I'm going to put illusion of form. Okay, it's not actual form, it's the illusion of form, because an actual form would be like this coffee cup, right? This coffee cup's an actual form, or this candle, it's an actual form, because I can hold it. It's a cylinder, and that will take us to our next form that we'll be drawing. So here is, we're going to start with an ellipse, and from this ellipse we're going to draw another ellipse just above it. I'm going to use a line up the middle, and this is called a plumb line. Okay, so a plumb line is what we use to make sure that our forms look symmetrical. Okay, so I can look at one side of this, say, okay, well, if this side of the ellipse is that big, then the other side of the ellipse should be about the same. It should come out about. Here is our plumb line. I just use it as a guide, so I'm going to erase it. I'm also going to erase the top of this ellipse that's on the bottom to make it look as though you can only see the top of this form. Okay, along this left side, I'm going to add shadow of this right side. And I'm going to show my darkest darks fade all the way to my lightest lights, which are my highlights. So from my darkest darks all the way to my lightest lights, creating that illusion of form. Okay. Again, shadows, and I'm going to put reference on Google Classroom of a slide deck where you'll be able to see some different reference options. So I'd like for you to look through the slide deck to make sure that you've used everything that's available, all the resources available for you to be successful in this project. Now, we have sphere, we have cone, we have cylinder. Let's label these. Sphere, cone, cylinder. So for the last one, we're going to draw a square. And from this square, we are going to draw parallel lines. Okay, and parallel line is what? Right, they go on forever without touching. So they go on forever without touching. Now, we've used horizontal line, we've used a vertical line. Now, on these diagonal lines, these parallel diagonal lines, we're not going to introduce any new lines. The only thing we're going to introduce from here is a horizontal line and a vertical line. And now we can get rid of the excess, and we have a cube created. Okay. Again, think about your light source. It's coming in from this side. We're going to make it dark on the right side, and maybe make this a mid-tone. Okay. You'll be using your blending stump. I don't have one home with me right now, but you can use your blending stump to blend this so you don't see the lines and the pencil marks. Again, one thing that you might want to do is, after you've done some blending, go back in and bring out some more of those dark midtones, because sometimes when you pull those with the blending stump, when you pull away from it to create that that value, you start to lose your darkest darks. And then just clean it up. It'll really pop. Okay, so we have our cube. Now, we can also create, using the same idea as the cube, we can create what's called a rectangular prism. So if we start with a rectangle, and from each corner, or vertice, I should say, a vertice is where two lines meet. Vertice. Where two lines meet. We are going to draw a line that's parallel. Okay, we're going to go in with our horizontal line, our vertical line, and then erase the excess. All right. Now think about your light source. The light's coming in from over here. Darkest here. Midtone. And then your light on top. Now, we've gone over form. The next thing we're going to talk about is space. So, for space, we're going to draw all these same forms, but we're going to draw them with each other as a composition. Now, what a composition is made up of multiple elements. Okay? And the way we arrange these elements, is our composition. Okay, so the composition is the whole thing. The elements are the different pieces that we're moving around to make it look good. All right. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to keep our eraser close by, because everybody makes mistakes. Even the best artist makes mistakes. Even Mr. Flanagan, if you can believe that. No, I use eraser all the time. So this is the whole idea about using forms and creating space, is that we want to learn the rules. And once we learn the rules, once we learn how to create our spheres, our cones, our cylinders and cubes, and our rectangular prisms, we'll be able to break the rules. Okay, so you got to know the rules to break the rules. And Picasso is a great example of that, where he was 15 years old and he was creating amazing, masterful artworks, and by the time he was in his late late 60s, 70s, who was creating these artworks that were very abstract and very not following the rules. Okay, so anyway, let's get to these. Let's get to playing with space here. Okay, so to play with space, we're going to need to know three things. The first thing is overlapping. It's a great way to create space. The second thing is, and I want you to write these down. The second thing is going to be foreshortening. And what foreshortening is the idea that things that are closer appear bigger, and things that are further away appear smaller. Okay, it's that idea. So that's foreshortening. And the last thing is position. The higher up on the page, the further away from the viewer. Okay, so I'm going to start here. I'm actually going to draw this. You guys are all going to have your own piece of paper. I want you to flip over your paper, and I want you to start practicing these. So for this, picture this as your page. Okay, right here. This is your page. And within this page, you're going to create a composition. And what a composition is made up of elements. And our elements are going to be our cone, sphere, cylinder, and cube. So let's start. I'm going to draw a sphere, and I'm going to make it big. It's really close to us, right? That's foreshortening. Now, I'm going to draw a cylinder. Cylinder is made up of two ellipses that are equal on both sides. Remember, that is called what? What is this line called? That is a plumb line. Now that's to keep us symmetrical. I'm going to draw a line down each side. And I'm going to create some overlapping now. Okay, overlapping. And the way I'm going to create overlapping is I'm going to erase where I can see that cylinder inside the circle. Okay? Now, that is creating space. A cylinder behind the sphere. It's higher up in position. It's smaller, and it's being overlapped. So I'm checking off all three boxes with all three of these different indicators for showing space. All right, I've got my sphere. It's large. It's overlapping the cylinder, and it's further down. Okay, the baseline is lowest on the page. Now, next one, I'm going to draw a cone. Now, you guys, I want you to draw these anywhere. Don't just copy me. Draw these wherever you want. You are creating your own composition. I'm going to draw a cone, and now I'm going to draw, I don't know, I'll put a sphere back here being overlapped. Okay, next thing I'm going to draw is a rectangular prism. So drawing a rectangular prism, going to draw three parallel lines that could go on forever and never touch, right? But I'm going to introduce two new lines now. I'm looking at this vertical line. I'm going to draw vertical. I'm looking at this horizontal line. I'm going to draw a horizontal. There we go. Okay. Now, next thing. Let's continue. Let's add some really small forms in the background. Now, right now they're just shapes, but this is kind of cool. Look at this. So the closer these forms are getting, the larger they're getting. Okay, I say the closer they're getting, they're moving in position down the page. Okay, they're also being overlapped, and they're also getting larger. So this is creating some nice depth of field and space. Now, all these currently look like they're floating. I want us to now draw a horizontal line across the page. And I'm going to cheat here. I'm going to put a little a little cylinder up top. And as I draw my horizontal line, I did that on purpose to show you something. Please watch. So let me just draw this. There's my edge of the table. So look at this cylinder here. It is floating. All right. Now I can leave it up there and make it look like it's floating and say, hey, Mr. Flanagan, well, I wanted it to look like it's floating, so that's what I did. I put it above the horizon line. But maybe what you want to do is, if you have any forms that go above this line that you drew for the edge of the table, maybe what you do is you connect it. maybe you connect it so it is actually on the table. So just by connecting forms, I'm going to do that again here. I'm going to draw an ellipse. I'm going to draw 2 lines coming down. Actually, I'm going to make it go right off the page. Now it looks as though the sphere is resting on top of the cylinder. So I want you guys to play around, have some fun. If you're having trouble showing space, I want you to rewatch this video and just keep in mind these 3 really important factors for creating space. One is overlapping. Okay, so you're going to need that eraser. It's really important. I'm going to show you real quick one more. So here I'm going to draw a cube being overlapped. Parallel lines. Connect, connect. Okay, so I'm overlapping there. This is overlapping that. And if I just drew a cube just like that, I could just go back in and erase it. Alright. Now you start to really play with people's perception if you draw a form that's behind something, but the baseline, the position is lower. That's confusing, right? That's confusing. We're kind of going against the rules right there. We're making it look like this thing's floating because this form that's behind it, it's actually, the baseline goes lower. Okay. So this is the next thing I want you guys to work on is try playing with space. Okay. Once you have your composition figured out, once you've arranged all of your elements, and each one of these is an element, once you've arranged all of your elements, you are going to start to add value to them. Okay, so decide on your light source. If your light source is going to be on this side, then you're going to draw your shadows on the opposite. And that goes across the board. Your shadows are going to be on the same side for all of them. And I want all that full range of value. I want your darkest darks, and I want your lightest lights. So really take your time, okay? Darkest darks, and then fade. Show all those midtones. Darkest darks, and blend it out with your blending stump too, to your lightest lights. Okay, so still have a lot of work to do. Take your time, folks. Really, make this project the best you can. You have some time to work on it, so make the best use of your time. Remember, inspiration finds those who are working. If you're not working, your pencil's on the ground. It's even worse. If it's on the table and you guys just chatting, obviously you're not going to get a lot done. This is art class. I want you guys to be able to communicate and talk and enjoy yourselves, but also it's really important that you stay focused. Please feel free to talk as long as you are working. Okay, but give this video a watch independently with your headphones, and then you guys can talk, discuss with your neighbor about ways to achieve creating value and form, as well as creating space. All right, guys, good luck. You're gonna do great.